and history fights.
I totally agree with that. Like, yeah, I mean, okay, like, especially if you lose. Let's look at we talked about this fighter last week before, and when Taylor lost to Kovalev.
Right.
Like sometimes a loss, like with like a guy like Anthony York, can bring God to another level of superstardom. Sometimes those learning lessons with fighting guys. It's a very risky thing to fight um, opponents that are greater than you or more experienced than you. On paper, and we've seen that all through the years. We've seen torches pass. We've seen De La Hoya and Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker losing to De La Hoya in a very competitive fight. And that was a fight that you couldn't take away from both of them. It was just two different styles. It was them. They both technical and skillful guys, and they went there and did it. I'm tired of seeing, and I'm not, no disrespect to Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm tired of seeing fighters try to emulate that 0-0. That was his thing with no losses. The no losses thing was his thing, but now that's been internalized in the psyche of a lot of fighters. Like, if I lose, but I'm like, but you're fighting a guy at Subway. You're fighting 10 guys and 10 bus drivers and guys that are unknown. Yeah, you might be 20-0, but when you look at the record, it's like, okay, well, why not take that risk? Even if you lost, it's still a better record than 20-0. I'd rather see 20-1, and that one was a lead opponent that you performed well against. Okay, you might have fell short, but you can come back.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And guys like Keith Thurman, he said in the past, I'm not afraid to lose my O, and he had lost to Pacquiao, but I think the way you lose in a boxing fight and a great matchup, that's what counts the most to the boxing world.
And how you come back from that.
Right, how you come back. But I agree with Southpaw. How you come back, but how you fight, because some people gain more, more audience from losing because people have more respect for them.
I think I'll put it like this way, because Southpaw, we both been in the ring, and when you're in the ring. You beat yourself up a lot more than people that have been there. Like, I remember taking a loss in front of everybody at the Encore Center. Like, I went up and jumped to cruiserweight on a three-week notice fight. And when you lose, there'd be people that are around you immediately that will say, oh, well, this didn't happen, or you wasn't in shape, or you wasn't this, or you wasn't that. And not that, okay, this guy wore you down, and this guy just made adjustments on you that you wasn't used to making, and he used his weight, or whatever it might have been. The win is still a win. And one thing I don't like is that when people are around, like fans or just people around you, take a win away from a fighter and say, well, you lost because of this. I'm like, no, well, maybe that guy was his night that night, and maybe he had a better corner, maybe he had better things that was there. So, people on the outside, a lot of people just want to see a good fight. And I like that's returning to boxing, like in sports, like MMA, is that so what if a guy take a loss? If a guy take a loss, he could have hurt the guy. And and it's a good learning lesson. Now people will see, this dude got exciting style. This dude has a lot more dimensions that have potential. Don't get me wrong. Mentally, it's hard coming back from a loss, especially a TKO loss or something like that, or a knockout loss. Right. There's a lot of mental transitions you have to do. And then when you're around people who have never been in the ring, they can't recognize, like, this is not losing a basketball game. This is not losing a football game. Like, you get knocked down a few times and you get a count and then you get stopped. It's a mental transition because now you have to believe in yourself again.
Exactly.
I think boxing is one of the greatest sports ever because you can lose and gain a new world of audience. Example, Sean Porter losing to Errol Spence. I feel like people have more respect for Sean Porter, the way that he fought Spence, than before.
Let's look at Sean Porter, right? And one thing I hate in boxing, we saw it with Peter Quillen. Peter Quillen didn't take a loss for 10 years. Until he fought Danny Jacobs.
Right.
The backstory, we all been in gyms. The backstory people don't understand is that Danny Jacobs and Peter Quillen sparred each other. So Melo, if you and I sparred each other, let's say we fought at 168. You got my timing, I got your timing. Your coach knows, okay, well, he's weak at doing this. He got a delay doing this. He does this, that. Somebody gonna lose because at the end of the day, it's predictable. But fans just say, oh, he's a bum. He's not nothing. He can never fight Golovkin. He can't do this. Styles make fights, man. And
you learn a lot from sparring people. You learn a lot.
And that's sometimes your sparring be harder than a fight. And then you go fight a sparring partner. And now Canelo and Triple G is a key example. You don't know Triple G was it with Canelo and Big Bear. They didn't know that they actually have sparring history together. This is why Canelo can pick up his timing. There's some things, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say what, somebody that I knew that was there, but I'm not going to say what they saw in the holes that they saw. but it was very evident with Abel Sanchez and so forth. You know,
Yeah, look how fast Floyd can adjust to a person fighting in a 12-round fight. Now, if you spar 30, 40 rounds with somebody,
Yeah.
you already know what they're bringing to the table. You know their patterns. Because you don't change so much from a boxing standpoint.
No.
You throw similar patterns. You have similar footwork. It's already ingrained in your style.
I think sparring it's a great thing. It's great work, but at the same time, I feel like there's a reason why a lot of people don't want it filmed.
No, of course
Yeah,
not.
it's crazy nowadays.
I feel like that's supposed to be private, and sometimes there's people that release the film, and then it's a whole lot of drama as far as who he did this, but that was inspiring.
But when
the fight is different.
You know, it's funny. I'm sorry, Mo.
Yeah. When you look at the sparring clips, right? A lot of times you go into the sparring not like a fight. You go in there to work on something, right? Like the Raleigh video with Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
It looked like Ryan Garcia was trying to work distance, trying to work something.
He was trying to use his footwork.
And Raleigh was just trying to brawl. But people don't see it that way because they see it as with casual eyes. I see it as sparring eyes. Sometimes I'll just want to work body shots. Sometimes I just want to let the guy hit me and see if I can defend all that shots.
Sometimes, and also too with the recording of sparring too. Like I like what Devin Haney says. Sometimes guys will start see things sparring and they stand in front of you. Like I had guys like for me, I'm an older guy, so I put things on Instagram, whatever. But I would never put anything on Instagram of me going to a fight. You might get something from like 7-8 months ago, 10 months ago, 2 years ago.
Like a small clip.
A clip. It might just be excited. I might be showboating. I might be trying to carry a guy. I might be trying to carry a fighter. I might be pulling my punches, And then when they look at sparring, it's like, oh, you're a mover. And then when I go spar, I'm standing in front of them and I'm giving them a different look because, and that's the dangerous thing about watching tapes too. Because look, I fought kickboxing 3 weeks in a row. After the first round, I blew this dude out the water. A big cruiserweight, it was like heavyweight. Blew him out the water. But then you watch tapes of a guy, and then you don't realize that he got a corner. Oh nah, we're gonna do adjustment. Walk him down and try to chop his legs down. Try to outman him.
Mm-hmm.
Like guys were rigging down Lomachenko. Another key example. They thought that Rigondeaux was going to move. Lomachenko was going to move and do all this stuff, and he was going to play Rigondeaux. No, he stood a big man, and he walked forward, and he was a bigger man on guys like Rigondeaux, But like sparring, it's a tough game, man. Like back to what you said about Ryan Garcia and Rolly. You could look. I sparred a dude, and he put on Facebook that he beat me up, but he didn't put on part when I knocked him down with a body shot. He didn't put the part when.
Well, that's edits. That's clips. That's
But what guys do is that they brag about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
So when a guy said, "Oh yeah, he did this," I'm like, first off, bro, you're 130 pounds. You can't punch. I said, I carried you. I pulled my punches. When I hit you the body shot, was about
probably well placed.
I just placed it on top of the cup. And so when he went down, he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, they leave out things. I sparred your whole camp. I sparred your coach. I sparred your dude. So when it's 105-degree weather, we got all black on. I got an afro. Yo, it's gonna be, Ryan Garcia could have been fatigued. Dudes go to work. We got bet his gym when people said Spence and Mayweather sparred each other. You think that Spence gonna do what he did in sparring in Mayweather in a fight? No, it's gonna be way more technical and tactical. He got caught with something, got a black eye or something. Mayweather could have been in a pocket, underestimated his timing, and got caught with something. I've got black eyes.
I see a lot of the sparring clips that they let out for Mayweather.
Yeah.
It's not the way he fights in fight night.
No.
He's more active. He starts toying with the guys. He stays in the pocket a little bit. Of course, getting hit with 16-ounce gloves is a lot different than getting hit with 8-ounce gloves or 10-ounce gloves.
I totally agree. You know, it's funny. Like when people see like a certain fighter fight a certain way, like they think this Mayweather's going to sit in the pocket and be flat-footed. They don't look at little subtle things like he's working in the gym. Like if a guy is complete, I can't compare myself to Mayweather, of course, but I work on little things like agility. Like I might try to see if I can make this fighter pro or amateur punch the rope. Maybe I don't want to move. If I do move, he's going to get bad work because I know I got better footwork than him. You know what I'm saying? This is time when you work on different things. I've had to slow my footwork down for some pros. They can't cut me off. If I really want to start moving, I can go 4 or 5 rounds without them catching me.
What's interesting is, we're talking about film and sometimes clips, on the eye, they trick people, right?
Yeah.
So let's also talk about this card this weekend.
Okay.
So we have to fight with Angelo Leo and Steve Fulton. And Fulton was supposed to fight for the title in September, but he had COVID. going into the week before. So he was out. Now it's his chance. Two undefeated fighters. They're fighting for, obviously, Andrew Leo's WBO junior featherweight title that he just got. But we just mentioned Rolly, right?
Mhm.
And Rolly's on this card.
Hmm.
So Rolando Romero, aka Rolly, he fights Justin Paldo, and this is a 12-round showdown for Rolly's WBA interim lightweight title. So off his last fight, a lot of people thought he had lost the fight to the Dominican.
Yeah, I thought so too. He looked horrible that fight. He was trying to rely on just his power, and it looked like when he wasn't hurting the guy, he just kept trying to do that same game plan, and he was getting really sloppy, and he was getting touched, and he was getting gassed. So he seems like he needs to add more dimensions to his fight game.
I do. I totally agree with Rolly, and just seeing him fight and even seeing him train from a critical eye. And I'm not, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter or anything like that. But I look at Rolly as like you said, not just relying on a big punch, because you got guys he's at 135 right now, right? He's lightweight. So now he's got guys right now. Haney got good legs. Teofimo Lopez can move just a little bit, but he's got power. So you're trying to do power. Sometimes with a guy Rolly being taller, not about the same height, but now Rolly's gonna have to learn how to move.
Yeah.
And he looked bad because now the level of competition is going up. He's not going to get that same Ryan Garcia he had that was 17, 18 years old in the gym. He's going to get a guy right now that's got experience, he's game, he's mobility's getting better. He's working with Canelo's coach. He's working with so many. He's improving. He's not even in his prime. He's got a lot of guys to deal with at 135. And imagine if Chris Colbert comes up to 135. Now we got another issue.
Definitely prime time.
Yes, sir.
Prime time.
So, I'm actually glad to see Rolly back in the ring at not a decent, very fast, but decent.
Yeah.
September. We're in January. I mean, for a lot of fighters, they fight maybe twice a year, and I think Rolly jumping back in the ring in early January, to me, it's great for him because he will knock out the ring rust, and we'll hopefully see a better version of Rolly come fight night.
Maybe he heard all the criticism, and maybe he wants to get back in there to show that he's not that same just want to brawl and be a sloppy fighter. Maybe he's added some dimensions to his game.
I don't know if you could teach that type of discipline. Like, how is his weight? He always looks like he's always like 20 pounds above his weight class. Like the discipline comes within how much can you maintain on a scale. Yeah, we got COVID. I mean, people are going to use this COVID excuse and be like, yeah, I walk around 40 pounds overweight. But the refrigerator didn't tell you to do that.
You bring up something very good. I think obviously you mentioned COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. There's some people through this whole situation, they lost weight or they gained a lot of weight. So
it's one of the two extremes. It's one of the two extremes.
But like I said, a lot of the older fighters like Lomachenko and guys like that were still going to the pandemic. They still made weight. They still didn't work to work. So he's 33 years old. I mean, he's turning 33. He's about to be 33. So this month, I think.
Right. And that's interesting that you mention that, because that's interesting that you bring that up, because Lomachenko, he looks like he's maybe 5-10 pounds only overweight before, always walking around. So that you could see his discipline. So getting into training camp, he's good to go.
But also too, like one thing about Lomachenko too, he's also a small guy. Like, you got to understand, Lomachenko is a 126-pound fighter, 130-pound fighter at best. So if him walking around, I wouldn't even say that it's not that he's training all year, is that his frame is adjusted to being around that heavier weight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for him to drop 5 or 10 pounds. For instance, right? I'm a light heavyweight. Until recently COVID, I decided to go take trips to the refrigerator and start pumping iron. I used to walk around 185 pounds all year. So if I had a fight at 178 or 175 or something in kickboxing, whatever, I can go cut 10 pounds real easy because my body's used to being on me. I'm coming from being a smaller man to an older, bigger man. So he has that luxury. The younger fighters don't. Lopez and guys like that. So with Lopez can walk around like 160 sometimes. A fight at 135 because these dudes, are still growing. When your body stops growing, he's just going to stay here. He's at like Floyd Mayweather walks around 151 pounds because he came at 126. So it is part discipline, but it's also like genetics, everything.
Genetics, definitely.
Lomachenko's not the most ripped cut guy, so his diet may not even be that on point. But like I said, he's been doing it for so long, he just knows all the tricks.
So the food you're used to. I mean, look, a lot of the other countries don't have as much preservatives and all this calories. You know,
True.
look at the way you eat. Look at Bernard Hopkins though. He was one of the most dedicated. His diet, everything. Good.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Hopkins is going down in history for
Mhm.
his discipline and what he's put to the boxing
Yep.
world.
I mean, you're going up, you fighting guys like Cloud at 48 years old. You fighting Cloud at 22, you fighting at 48 years old, and you still got legs. His legs really didn't die until he's like around 50 for Kovalev. He still gave Kovalev a hard time with shot legs.
Right, definitely. Now, as far as the fight, Rolly versus Paldo, what do you guys think about the fight? I mean, what do you expect as far as who do you have getting the W and performance wise?
I'm hopeful for Raleigh to make those adjustments and correct what was making him give that question mark from his last fight.
Right.
So he needs to come out and really show that he deserves to be there.
Definitely, I think Rolly actually could. Everybody might be shocked we see a stoppage. I think
Yeah.
Rolly's gonna come, and I actually think the fight won't go the distance, and he'll get the W by spectacular fashion. And he would change people's eyes and change the audience that was, kind of rough on him.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be highly critical of this fight because of the way he was last fight.
Well, you gotta understand this too. With Rolly has to get that win because when he gets that win, he's going to go and try to get a fight with Devin Haney. They've been talking back and forth, and I think right now that Devin Haney's the black sheep at 135. It's so many obstacles in the way of Devin Haney fighting different type of fighters because it's very high risk and it's very low reward for a lot of the fighters. Because now it's going to come to the table and it's like, okay, well Ryan's going to be on the A side because I can get this many people to buy, and then Teofimo is like, well, I'll just beat the pound for pound guy that y'all talking about, and now you got who else is at 135? You have
we got Haney with Fortuna,
yeah,
which is very interesting news.
but then
on him going up.
the fact of the matter is, will Devin Haney probably sell? Rolly's the perfect one because now it can sell. They're both going to talk. They're both young. Honestly, do I have Devin Haney winning? Yes, I have Devin Haney beating Rolly. I think he just does things he just does everything better than Rolly, and they have a storyline behind that. So, I just feel like they're gonna. Rolly has to really perform.
Yep.
Right.
If he shows weaknesses, he's going to be bait in a Shark Tank.
Right. And that's the third fight. The co-main event is actually interesting. It's a title fight. It's Vic Vaselis versus Rais Alim, and this is 12 rounds for the vacant WBA interim junior lightweight title. So actually, this has a lot involved, a lot in the future of the winner and what's next in that division. So I'm actually interested to see what these guys bring to the table and who's hungrier come fight night.
Man, that one we just left 135 and at 130 and 130 still on fire.
Right.
We got Tevin Farmer still at 130. Tevin Farmer's making a return.
Right. Farmer should be back soon.
Yeah.
And we're weeks away from seeing Jojo Diaz defend his title.
Jojo Diaz got Farmer, and then even now when you got 126, we got Shakur Stevenson who can still go up to 130. So now we got a 126 to 140. That pocket right there is on fire right now. And at 130, yeah, Jojo Diaz and Chris Colbert's 130.
Yeah, prime time. Prime time is due for a big fight too.
I want to see.
And he deserves it. He deserves it.
I want to see Farmer in prime time fight.
That would be a good fight, but I think prime time wins that one.
Yeah, he outused him.
I think it's too early to tell. I want to see a little bit more from both guys.
Yeah.
But it'd be a great fight for boxing.
Definitely.
That's what boxing needs. But before we get away from the main event, who do you guys got winning this fight? I think this is a very close fight. But I got it 50-50. I know I say that a lot, but I've actually met Angelo Leo, great, humble young man, and Steve Fulton. Everybody's very high on him. So to me, the keys to victory, Angelo punch output.
Okay.
And moving. His footwork and avoiding the big punches from Fulton, because Fulton definitely comes to fight. Now, as far as Fulton, I would say for him, just controlling the ring, cutting off the ring, picking his spots, in the pocket and out. And I got it. I'm going to lean a little towards the champ, Angelo Leo, but I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Fulton won because his talent's there. What do you guys got?
I agree. It's a toss-up fight. It's a toss-up fight. I can't lean either way. I think both these guys are gonna try to hold on to that. Oh, they're gonna come to fight. Title fights like this, they're really gonna.
It's tough because
bang.
it's a first test for both of them, and
Mhm.
like I can't call it. It's just going to be about who's going to get who first, and who's going to outwork who, and who's going to come more prepared. That's pretty much it. That's all I can really say.
Definitely. So we wish both guys the best of luck, and obviously we hope that Rolly gets a nice win and doubts the haters, let's say. But we got a lot of fight news, guys. So another week of boxing, and it's fight week this week. We're happy Showtime, the first of many cards, hopefully for this year. But we got to jump into the zone. Matchroom Boxing. Canelo officially signing a two fight deal with Matchroom Boxing, aka Eddie Hearn.
Mhm.
So February 27th, Canelo Alvarez makes his return in Miami. What do you guys think?
I mean, look, he's running the bag up. Canelo's
That's what I
running the
was
bag
about
up.
to
But
say.
you know what? I'm not mad at Canelo for doing that. Canelo has earned his spot where he's the ultimate A side. Floyd
Right.
Mayweather said it at his best. Canelo is after me. And Canelo is right after Floyd Mayweather. He can pick and choose right now. He has went through, when did Canelo start his career? 140, skipped to 154, 160, 168, light heavyweight.
154 too.
I'm sorry, in his weight class. What's that weight class? Canelo weight, 155.
Well, yeah, he had
Catchweight
he had
Canelo.
that against Angulo. He had a 155, and even Amir Khan was 155.
Catchweight
Yeah.
Canelo.
So
Special weight division.
So Canelo right now, he can pick and choose fights. Do I agree with how some of the fights are picked with guys like, with the Kovalev fight, you got a guy that's fighting a big puncher like Yard and wear him down, and well, that's boxing for you. And Kovalev took the money, so I can't blame Canelo for that. Canelo can now he's in the sweepstakes. Now he's the peso sweepstakes. He's getting made money made and Canelo now is giving out them pesos. So if you're a Billy Joe, if you're a Plant, if you're a Boo Andrade, you got to come see Canelo now.
Mm-hmm. On his terms.
On his terms.
On his terms.
His venue. Even with him now, we know boxing, the size of the ring. Because if you fight Boo Andrade, it's going to be a smaller ring. Canelo is going to set the terms because he's earned the right. The dude is not even 35 years old, and he's already 60 plus fights in. Who's doing that at 30 years old? I haven't seen a fighter that has been there. Okay,
Yeah.
He took a loss to Floyd Mayweather and drawn Triple G. But if you really want to count it, he's right there with Mayweather.
Yep.
He just gets better. He gets more explosive. His movement gets better. I just feel with a guy like, Canelo, it's going to be very, very hard for anybody above 160 to follow in those footsteps because those weight divisions get more smaller. So that's it.
Definitely. So he's fighting his mandatory, and it's Avni Yildirim. It's hard to pronounce his name, but the deal is he takes care of business. If he doesn't get hurt February 27th, he's fighting May 8th, Billy Joe Saunders. Ooh, big fight. The boxing world will be happy for that.
I like that. Too. I like that. That's definitely a good fight for Billy Joe and for Canelo. I mean, Billy Joe doesn't get a lot of credit that he deserves or the fights that he should be getting. He's a very slick fighter. He made Lemieux look like an idiot, toying with him.
He made Eubanks look bad too.
Yeah, and that guy was, they fluffed him up a lot.
Eubanks, let me tell you something. Chris Eubanks Jr. was the boogeyman one time at 160. Nobody wanted to fight Eubanks, and then when he fought Billy Joe gave him a boxing lesson. Then, we just talked about Lemieux. This fight for him and Canelo, he's been asking for it. Billy Joe's been asking for David Lemieux. He's been asking for Triple G. He didn't get the Triple G. Now Triple G's at 168. Now he's at 168. So getting a fight with Canelo is great for him. We can see a showcase of two different styles. He is awkward. He will challenge Canelo with footwork. But one thing he has to do is stay consistent with Canelo because Canelo, after fighting Lara, he's very good at cutting the ring off, and he has a very, very sharp jab. Canelo's jab is very, very underrated.
Definitely. So this fight takes place in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, which is AKA Miami, Florida, Miami Marlins. stadium, which is great for boxing.
Oh, absolutely. Hot outside too. Good for Canelo to bring his training camp there. Unless he's training in Mexico. I don't think he's training in Mexico. I think he's probably going to train here in America. So Florida's a great place to train. You know, he'll have a nice, relaxed training camp. That's just straight to the point.
Now, if he fights Billy Joe, how do you guys see this fight going? I know it's early to say, but just overall, I think the boxing world is happy to hear this.
I think Billy Joe can be a little tricky at first, being a southpaw and he's slick. I think Canelo is going to have to make some adjustments, but I think he's going to make these adjustments. It'll be an entertaining fight, but I think Canelo either get a late round stoppage or, you know, get a decision.
Okay.
I feel with Canelo versus Billy Joe, I think Billy Joe starts off really, really fast. And, you know, I think he takes the first 5 rounds on Canelo. I think that Billy Joe's jab, his height, he's got the height advantage. He's just as intelligent in his own way. And it's that awkwardness, you know, like he's just like the Gypsy King. He's just going to hit you with something from different angles and you're not going to see it coming. And Canelo needs a predictable opponent.
Definitely. I think just overall, hopefully, if Canelo comes out this fight February 27th clean, it's going to be set up for Billy Joe. I think this is the fight that the boxing world wants to see. I know there's names of Benavidez and Caleb Plant, but I think this is the first stepping stone.
The segue
right
to that.
He's healthy. The 27th, take care of business, and then he fights Billy Joe. If he's successful, we probably will see him in September, and we could see him versus a big name, which I'm hoping is Benavidez or Plant.
Where does Billy Joe, where's this fight going to be? Because it's a UK fight. Does he come to America, or does Canelo go to O2, O2 Arena or something like that? Like, where does this happen? Because this is a big fight. Where would they fight at?
I think this fight, I think this fight will be in the UK. I think Canelo makes his debut in the UK, and I think all fighters, it's great to market themselves in the UK.
Yeah, I'm going to UK this year.
Oh, we got a call.
Okay, we got a phone call. Antonio Baez with AB Boxing News. I hear Romello and Nose Hunter. Who's calling in?
Carlos Morales, the producer.
There it is. Carlos, what's going on? Thank you for calling in. How's everything?
Everything's good. Here in Quito, Mexico, but one of our boys is going to fight tomorrow, so we're getting ready.
Nice. That's great to hear. First of all, Happy New Year, 2021. You know, we last saw you in the ring in February 20th of last year, and unfortunately, you didn't get the W against Jorge Linares. But what can you use experience-wise from that fight going into this year for you making your return?
Well, I learned a lot from fighting Jorge Linares. I didn't lose to a bump. I lost to a future Hall of Famer. That's the thing that I told myself to kind of keep myself in the game. But definitely I learned a lot at night. I mean, I learned more that night than I learned in any other fight. So I know exactly where I have to be in order to compete at that level. So you got to train and get ready.
Definitely, that's great to hear. And how's everything as far as you get back in the camp, getting back in shape, and getting ready for hopefully a busy and successful 2021?
Well, I am in the gym. I'm not sparring at the moment. I'm trying to let my head heal a little. I had a good 5 years fighting back to back, 10 rounds, a lot of tough fights.
Right.
So I gotta, I'm gonna start sparring, but when I just get back in top-notch shape in order to compete at the highest level.
Definitely, and you've been in the ring with some great fighters. You just mentioned Jorge Linares, that's number one. And then also you in the ring with Ryan Garcia.
Yes, I was in the ring with Ryan Garcia about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and Alberto Machado. So actually, this experience that you got, I'm sure you've only learned and improved overall based off the competition you have fought throughout the years. It looks like you keep fighting top-level guys.
I am a true fighter, true warrior. I fight anybody. I also fought in Alvarado, who was the champion.
Yeah, Renee. Yep. You fought him in 2018, December 8th.
Yeah, we were gonna see he was gonna fight for the title, and they ended up beating me. But he's a better man than I. But I've learned a lot throughout my career, so I'm ready for the next stage and improve to everybody where I can learn.
That's great to hear. Now, as far as weight, you look to stay in the same weight division, or any chance of you going down or up?
I don't know yet. I like 135. There's a lot of competition in that. And I definitely love to fight these guys out there. But now I'm going to stay at 135.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. Now, obviously, the 135 division is heating up. You know, last year we saw Lopez defeat, aka the Matrix, Lomachenko. You know, how did you score that fight?
I saw Lopez winning the fight. It was the first fight, but I think Lopez was the more active in those rounds, and I think they gave those rounds for those.
I agree. I thought Lopez. I had him winning 9-3, but you know, it's there's some close rounds. So
Yeah, he was dictating the fight. He definitely was having Loma fight his fight.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Lomachenko started a little too late after the first round. I mean, with all the experience he has, he should have figured out Lopez in the first minute of the first round. But I guess he has some learning to do as well.
How you doing, Carlos? It's Southpaw Mello. How's everything?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. What did you think about Ryan Garcia's last performance?
He definitely proved that he could be the next superstar. You know, he came back from being knocked out and knocking out Luke Campbell, who's never been knocked out before. So I was pretty impressed by Ryan Garcia.
That's good. That's good. Do you think he would be ready for like a Tank Davis next?
I think he could be everybody at 135. Well, definitely right. But so I think he could be everybody at 135. He has the height, the speed. I'm sure he learned a lot from his last fight and keeping his head straight up. But he learned and got the victory, which is more important. So I could definitely see him being clean up at 135, no doubt. But he can't fight everybody because take a lot of toll on his body. So I mean, I definitely see him being the best at 135.
Carlos, my question to you is, I'm sure you've seen the devastating knockout Tank Davis had on Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, it could be, it's definitely up there for knockout of the year with Dylan White getting knocked out by Povetkin. So it's definitely up there. Would a matchup with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia? I know you said you favor Ryan to win the whole division, let's say, but do you think Tank really has a great chance to beat him?
I mean, everybody has a chance, but I see that Ryan Garcia has all the attributes. You know, he's taller, faster, stronger. You know, Tank Davis is really a natural 130 pounder. And Ryan Garcia, any time he's going to do what's 140, he's a big 135 pounder. So that's the reason why I think Ryan Garcia would be something.
Very interesting. Dude, as far as Teofimo Lopez, in your opinion, I know you're highly strong on Ryan Garcia being the top guy at 135. Lopez looks like he's going to fight Kambosos, and that's what it seems to be. Now, Lopez is a big 135 pounder, so we don't know how long he's going to stay in the division. But let's say he's willing to stay a little longer and he fights Ryan Garcia. You know, would that be the biggest fight for 135 division?
Yeah, definitely. Because what he did to Lomachenko and with Ryan Garcia did to Luke Campbell, then that's definitely a mega fight for them to do it. But I still see Ryan Garcia being like I said, he's taller, stronger, and I mean, like I said, he's learned a lot since the last time I fought him, so he's definitely a lot better fighter now.
Definitely, it's a division that's been heating up, and everybody wants to see Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. At the same time, Lopez recently he's called out David Haney this week, and he's saying he's looking for him and he wants to get him. I mean, is a guy like David Haney really, in your opinion, is he somebody that's being overlooked?
Well, he used to beat somebody. Well, he did beat Gamboa. I guess he used to be one of the top fights. Like Ryan has a big trouble with his shot, seems like he knocked out his trouble. We gotta see something like that in order to give David Henry a little more credit. But he's definitely a good fighter. You know, he has good speed, good boxing skills, and a good IQ and range. So we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Now, as far as yourself, you're 19-5. You know, we haven't seen you in the ring since February of last year, but you look to be more active. Is your goal to get into another title fight come the end of 2021, get back in the mix with all these guys, a stacked division at 135?
I would love to. It's just a matter of getting a fight. Right now with the COVID, Golden Boy's been putting a lot of fights. And I mean, it was kind of good for me to take almost a year off to let my body recover and start fresh again for 2021.
That's good to hear. Now, Carlos, how can the fans in the boxing world reach you?
Social media, at the Phoenix 1990, Instagram, Facebook. Anybody that wants to get in touch with me can send me a message there and I'll get back to them.
Thank you, Carlos. I want to thank you for your time. You're always more than welcome to call in. And when you have your next fight, I definitely want to stay in contact with you and have you back on the show.
Thanks very much.
No problem. Carlos, you take care, and we'll be in touch very soon.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Later. There you have it. Carlos Morales, aka The Solution. He called in. We want to thank him for his time because he's on a different time zone right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
he kind of played devil's advocate there.
Right, right.
We were highly critical of Ryan Garcia, and he kind of made some valid points in his favor.
Right, and actually, Southpaw Mello, I actually been saying that height is important. Mm-hmm. And I know me and Nose Hunter we were debating over, but he knocked out Cruz. But guess what? I looked it up. Santa Cruz is nowhere near Ryan Garcia's height. So actually, I got to give the edge to myself a little bit there, Nose Hunter.
But you remember this.
All right, let's hear it.
Height doesn't mean anything when there's a body in front of you. Because the body doesn't move, the head moves. And Ryan has a little trouble with head movement and footwork. Tank has footwork. Tank's explosive. And, he has a little bit of a shorter reach. But that's not really going to be a problem. It's not going to really be a problem for Tank when he fight a guy like Ryan Garcia. Tank is very good at counterpunching. People don't give him credit of being as technical as he is. He's not a brawler. Just like people think he's just a fighter that just doesn't think and goes in and throws bombs. No, just like how I said, my analogy with Tank Davis is like, he's a pit bull. Just because a pit bull can bite you and got a strong bite doesn't mean he's dumb. Like, he's just going to smell blood. And if he gets Ryan hurt, he knows how to jump on him. Tank's a finisher. So Ryan just can't get hurt. I don't see Ryan having a good footwork and a good jab. I don't see him having legs like a Terrence Crawford, who's the same height. Terrence Crawford's a bigger man, but I don't see him having that footwork. He struggles with mobility with the feet because he's relying on speed and power.
I think you make a good point. At the same time, speed kills. When you have speed, it makes up for things that you lack in the ring. So I'm not saying that that's enough to win, but I think Tank's a great fighter and he has devastating knockout power. But I also think Ryan's height is going to be a problem for him. And I think if Ryan could just smarten up a little more, that he could pull off, I would say, an upset.
See, think about it. He got put down by a flash knockdown. He wasn't really hurt. Being put down by Tank is different than being put down by Luke Campbell. Now, what happens now is that if he goes in fight and flight mode, either two things are going to happen when Tank puts his hands on him. He's going to take off running, or he's going to try to brawl and bang and fall into Tank Davis's thing. We know that Tank's got a decent chin. He showed that with Gamboa.
Gamboa clipped him.
He clipped him, but Tank also is going to counterpunch. And the thing about him is that the thing about Tank is that, and shout out to Coach Mustafa Meekins. He worked with Tank before. And I asked him, I said, how smart? He said, he's very intelligent. How hard does he hit? He hits like a light heavyweight. So Ryan is not going to be used to that type of power. He's not going to be used to that type of intelligence. Tank is agile.
Yeah.
He might be better on his feet than Ryan is, so he will take the highway. He might make Ryan give up his height on the outside.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen before. We've seen Pernell Whitaker make many guys give up their height. That's how you beat a tall guy. You can beat a tall guy on the outside. Willie Pep was a key guy to make a tall guy. When he fought Sandy Sadler, he made Sandy Sadler give up his height and damn near fall into the rope.
Tyson was the king of taking away your jab, getting rid of your height.
There you go.
But speed kills, right? But I've been in sparring matches with people that were faster than me. If you get the timing right, if you time them right,
True.
you can equalize that
True.
speed. Because I'm not the fastest in the gym, but I'm good at timing.
That's why I'm the nose hunter. I done hit plenty of noses in the gym of guys that were speedy. They were power punchers. It did not matter because timing beats speed, timing beats power, and also, Leo had volume on Tank. Tank's not a volume puncher. He threw a lot of volume at Tank. But guess what? When you see that little gap, see the thing about it is like this. You can put a turbo kit on a V6 Camry. Yeah, but take it around a circuit. It's just going to pull to the right and left and right. Speed means nothing if the suspension ain't right.
I think you make a great point. I also think, Santa Cruz is known for a brawler style. And
Yeah.
I think he underestimated Tank was setting that punch up the whole fight.
Yeah.
That was
It really was
tailor made
because he look at the punches he threw to set that up, and I actually thought it was a great fight. But overall, I think it'll be a great fight for boxing,
Yes.
and I want to thank Carlos the Solution Morales for calling in because he's been in the ring with Ryan Garcia and Jorge Linares and Rene Alvarado, so he was able to know who's special and who's talented. So we want to thank him for calling in. But hopefully we get great fights this year, something like that. Of course, Ryan and Tank. If not, we'll see. But we're going to jump into other news now. So the news this week also was Claressa Shields makes her return. So those that don't know, Claressa Shields makes her return versus Marie-Eve Dicaire March 5th. It will be on pay-per-view with Fight TV,
Nice.
which is growing now. It's an all-women's pay-per-view.
That's a great thing in my boxing history. Having a full women's boxing pay-per-view. I think I would have loved to see Amanda Serrano fight on one, but that's wishful thinking. That would have been great.
Right. And what's interesting about this card, all women's pay-per-view on Fight TV, right, that we mentioned, is taking place in Detroit. So it's kind of like a homecoming for Claressa Shields.
She's from Flint, yeah.
Right. And it's the fight's in Flint, Michigan.
Oh wow.
That's awesome for her.
So this will be the first women's fight to headline a pay-per-view since Layla Ali versus Jackie Frazier lied on June 6, 2001. We're talking almost 20 years.
20 years ago.
Almost 20 years ago, we're talking nearly since we had an all-women's pay-per-view card. So obviously this is like somewhat history in the making. Rehistory, I would say. I think it's a good look for women's boxing. And Claressa Shields had a lot to say. And actually, Claressa Shields did an interview with AB Boxing News, Gustavo Neri, and it's on the AB Boxing News YouTube channel. And she spoke very highly about women's boxing and that female boxers, they don't need to wait around for the man to dictate and control their moves. So Claressa is trying to push over the female division and just put women's boxing in a higher point that it deserves to be.
I think it's a great thing, though. We need to see more female promoters. I think she can be Claressa Shields can be like the Lisa Leslie of boxing. I think where she can now we got female managers, we got female promoters, female coaches. I think that's very needed because women's boxing is a very young sport still. We're talking about a birth of women's boxing in the late 1970s. It's very young. Late 70s is when women's boxing, professional boxing came onto the scene. So she's definitely in the golden age of women's boxing. For someone who has under 15 professional fights, she already has an elite record. Fastest fighter in history to ever win, 4 weight divisions?
Definitely.
She beat Lomachenko's record.
Definitely. She's definitely making history.
An Olympian too.
Yep, 2-time.
2-time Olympian.
Just like Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's great. It's great for women's boxing, and we wish her the best. And hopefully we get everybody drawn in, everybody ordering the pay-per-view, everybody involved in women's boxing, because Claressa makes a great point that, women's boxing is powerful, and don't let it fall under men's boxing. Keep pushing forward and keep getting the fans to recognize that, you know, all these ladies, all these women boxers, that they're pushing hard and they have careers and goals and they want to pursue greatness. So as we end that topic, we have another topic, which is, here it comes, another interesting one. All right. So we've been hearing for months that Jake Paul has been trying to call out Conor McGregor, right? Very interesting. But yeah, he has signed the deal now. Jake Paul ring return April 17th. He signed for Fight Club. A new boxing promotion launched by the team behind social networking app Thriller and rapper and media personality Snoop Dogg. So Paul will headline the event. No location yet. But guys, what's your reaction, Mello, to the news of Jake Paul return?
You know what I'm gonna say. I'm ready. I want Jake Paul.
Well, I think we all want Jake Paul. We got, you know.
He looks good though. I seen some clips of him sparring and stuff. I mean, he looks good. I mean, hey, if he can make it work for him, and you know, maybe he might have a future in boxing.
I think you give him too much credit.
Maybe
Why
I
is
just
that?
Jake Paul. I'm not a fan of Jake Paul.
maybe I just want to get that fight.
Jake Paul is a Jake Paul is he's aggressive. He throws bombs. He's just too unpolished for me. And I feel like he, because of social media, skipped the line. And it's just I'm just not impressed with Jake Paul. I mean, for a cruiserweight, he's what is he like? What weight class is he gonna be? He's too big. He's too stocky to be like heavyweight, and he's not going to be a real cruiserweight because we got Killer still at cruiserweight. We got Tabiti. He can go fight a guy like that, but the thing about it, you're gonna put him in there with the sharks, guys that's almost heavyweight. So I just feel with a guy like Jake Paul is that he's gonna get a John Doe. He's gonna get a guy that's unpolished. He's probably gonna get a fresh guy coming out the amateurs with that type of experience. It's a spectacle of boxing. And I do feel that Jake Paul should fight even. If you talk about Conor McGregor smokes him in boxing. He counter punches him all day. If you don't realize, Conor McGregor actually has decent boxing for MMA fight.
Yeah,
definitely interesting. So overall, my opinion, I think I want to see who he's scheduled to fight. That would be a better, we can break down the fight a little better. Is he going to be matched up against another YouTube star, a former boxer, or just a no-name and make him look better? That is the real question for me. But it's obvious he couldn't get Conor, and actually Conor McGregor's fighting this Saturday. So after this fight, it's very interesting to see, does he want to fight Jake Paul for the money fight, or a lot of speculation is him and Manny Pacquiao will square up in the ring this summer.
The thing about I don't like this fight with Pacquiao and
Jake Paul.
And Jake Paul. Why? One, Jake Paul's a cruiserweight. Pacquiao's a welterweight. Conor McGregor's a super middleweight. Let's keep it real. Conor McGregor is a 168-pound fighter. He's fought at 170 in MMA, and he's fought at 155 pounds in MMA. He is a big man. When he fought Floyd, he did gigantic against Mayweather. So you know what? I think Jake Paul and him will be good, but it'll just be a cruiserweight fighting a super middleweight, and it's just another spectacle. These guys are overpaid, and they jump in the line, and they need to get their time in the line for guys that really deserve it. That's really putting that work in.
Chapo?
I think. I love Pac-Man. Pac-Man is known his whole career of taking down David and Goliath style fights. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Jake Paul needs to get the hands from Pacquiao a little bit and soften him up.
It's easy work for Pacquiao. Pacquiao, even at his age, he's going to figure Jake Paul out so much because that aggressiveness is going to fall right into what Pacquiao likes and Pacquiao's speed. He's going to lead with his head. He's going to make a lot of mistakes.
Look how he took down Margarito, busted his orbital bone and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be Margarito Part 2.
There you have it. We have Southpaw Mello, reaction towards Conor McGregor and also Jake Paul and possibly Manny Pacquiao. So as far as me, it's I got to see who he fights, and then I can really elaborate a little better. But going forward, next topic, guys, on the February 13th edition, we have an addition to the Diaz Raquimo card on the zone. Ronnie Rios, 13-3, versus Oscar El Juave Negrete, 19-2-2 with 7 knockouts. This is a fight that just been added to the card. Also, interesting fight right here. In this fight, both fighters actually, this is a very important fight for both guys. Jason Quigley, 18-1, 14 knockouts, versus Shane Mosley Jr., 16-3 with 9 knockouts for the NABO middleweight title. Southpaw, your reaction towards the last fight we just mentioned?
Shane Mosley Jr., man. I mean, he's good. I watched him on the Contender and everything. He's a good fighter. You know, maybe this will give him more buzz that he needs because, you know, when I saw him on the Contender, I was like, this guy's good, man. Maybe we can hear about him.
My boy Devon Lee. I was in high school with. We was in the same classes together. And Von Van Buren, he fought my boy Devon Lee. So he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
I think it's a great fight for boxing. I think it's a great addition to the card. I think the main event, I feel like Jojo Diaz is going to stop his opponent and he's going to show why he's still that guy. And he's, you know, hopefully him and Farmer get back in the ring for a part 2. But until then, you know, we'll see what happens. And I look forward to Shane Mosley and Quigley. I don't see that fight going the distance. I see someone getting stopped. But I think it's a great fight for the zone, Golden Boy, and just great for boxing. So we'll see what happens with that. But on to the next topic. Josh Warrington vacates his IBF title. So this is something it seemed like he didn't want to do, but Josh Warrington vacates his title. And now the big news is that he was supposed to fight XU, that's what they say, for April 24th. But right now, with him vacating the belt, all roads lead to the giant matchup. And this is a guy I'm high on, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Ooh. Southpaw, your reaction towards that?
I like Gary Russell Jr., man. I met him. He's a real down-to-earth guy. Got the fastest hands in boxing.
Ooh.
That guy is fast.
Gary Russell. I mean, Gary Russell Jr., if he's not like outbidding himself and being a diva, yeah, he's a great fighter. You know, just outbids himself, and we don't get to see the best of him. He's not that young anymore. So we need to get the best out of Gary Russell Jr. right now before he turns 36 years old.
Definitely. So he has a choice. He can either make the deal, fight XU, or he fights Mr. Gary Russell Jr., which I think there's a good chance that might happen. And the Ring Magazine belt for both fights will be on the line. So it's very interesting, you know. But in other news, also linked to Gary Russell Jr. is Ray Vargas. That is very interesting to me because I actually think that matchup will be fireworks, in my opinion. Ray Vargas and Gary Russell Jr., it ain't going the distance, in my opinion. And that's the fight. I like Josh Warrington, but let him fight XU. That's fine with me. And let Gary Russell fight. Ray Vargas.
And then let the winner of both fights fight each other.
Yes.
There you go.
And Ray Vargas is a punch output guy, and you put him up with Gary Russell Jr.'s hands, and in my opinion, we could see potentially fight of the year early.
And again, you got to see maybe the timing might be speed or speed might be timing. We'll see what's going to happen that night. That's exactly what's going to be down. That's the motif of that night.
Yep. So I think we'll see what happens with Josh Warrington. You know, he vacates his belt.
It's up to him. The ball's in his court right now.
Yeah, I'm getting feedback. Vargas Russell would be a badass fight, and I agree. I think fight of the year, and it doesn't even go 6 rounds, in my opinion.
Potential fight of the year, definitely.
But we go to the next topic, and Arthur Beterbiev, his fight that got canceled because of the COVID, it's been rescheduled for March 20th, and back in Megasport Arena in Moscow. So he's going to fight his opponent, Adam Vianis, 19-1-1, and Beterbiev is 15-0. So I'm glad to hear that the fight's still going to go on. And Beterbiev, to me, this looks like a tune-up fight for him to lead to a big fight.
Yeah.
Come summertime. What do you guys think?
I think so. I mean, he's going to go out there. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to probably demolish this guy quick, and then we're going to see what the next fight is from.
Like I said, we need a Fab Four like heavyweight. We got Marcus Brown, Pascal still there. We got Bivol. We got Joe Smith. So right now, it's a good fight to put him in that circle and get him more exposure. Not many people know about Beterbiev on a major world scale.
Definitely. I think it's good for Beterbiev. I think this is a good fight. Keep busy, and hopefully he makes it to fight night. And then we see a big fight for him come summertime. And maybe potentially going up in weight and getting a big fight. You know, I would love to see Beterbiev and Canelo Alvarez.
That would be good.
Fireworks.
Oh yeah.
Fireworks. But we'll see what happens with that. But also, we have to congratulate, next topic, we have to congratulate Mayweather for his announcement yesterday. The WBC has confirmed and acknowledged that they will be putting his face on the next WBC title, which is great news for him. I think we have the legends on these spectacular belts, and Mayweather will be part of that. So we want to congratulate Mayweather for that. And
He deserves it.
Yeah, long reign as a champion, man.
Long
This
reign.
guy, he's done it all. He's done it all. He's love him or hate him. The guy knows how to get around in the ring.
Definitely. No Hunter.
He's an overachiever. He deserves to have a space on there. He's master of 2 generations.
Definitely. Now, guys, quickly, Ryan Garcia said all of a sudden I'm here, and he has a bigger fight. Not Tank Davis that he's focusing on. And everybody's thinking it's Manny Pacquiao. What do you guys think? I mean, you're Southpaw Mello. Your reaction if he doesn't get the Tank fight and he fights Pac-Man?
I don't think he could beat Pac-Man. I don't think he could beat Pac-Man. If you try to say his height or his speed, again, we'll go back to Margarito. He tore up Margarito, and the Margarito was tall. So,
like I said, it's Sweet Pea and De La Hoya passing the torch.
Definitely. As far as me, I think he should wait on that. But if the money's there, I mean, who am I to talk? But, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show. I want to thank everybody tuning in. Bars and Hoops Radio. Southpaw Mello, final thoughts?
Ryan Garcia needs to stay away from Pac-Man. That's not going to be good for him.
Nose Hunter?
Everybody can get the Nose Hunter shirts at the Nose Hunter on Instagram.
And as far as myself, I want to thank Carlos the Solution Morales for calling in, giving us breakdown on his experience in the ring and his ring return. And everybody, check out the AB Boxing News YouTube channel. We have fresh videos out. I was able to interview Hammer Hank Lundy on his return coming March 14th. Also, his reaction to who will win, Spencer Crawford, and how he said Porter would dog Terrence Crawford in the fight, and that's why the fight will not happen. So I have that exclusive on AB Boxing News channel. Also, Clarissa Shields' interview with Gustavo Neri about her upcoming fight and what women's boxing means, and pay-per-view for women's boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show. And until next week, take care.